Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, because this is a pre-recorded because I'm away fabulously traveling overseas in Vietnam and Cambodia for my beautiful Honey Watts 70th birthday. So hence, as promised, I would still lead with our weekly lives, but they're pre-recorded, but you'll get the gist. So let's begin with our check-in. This series is not just to help you have better conversation. It's here to help you lead your life with more clarity, more courage, and definitely more calm. And that begins with accountability. So where are you this week? Did you try using your CPR? Did you get clearer about the conversations you need to have, even if you haven't had them yet? Have you spotted the loops, and needing that you've got to shift that conversation? Are you speaking to the real issue, not the surface issue that seems to pop its head up all the time? The greatest key here in using CPR is to become aware. Once you're aware, you can build the strategy. So did you try using CPR? Did you get clear about those conversations that you need to have? You might have had them, you might not have had them yet. Drop me a tick emoji if you're making progress. Give me a different kind of, quizzical face, curious face, frustrated face if you're sitting with it. And maybe you're unsure. And if you're stuck, you know the go. Share a stop sign with me. And if you're feeling stuck, that's okay too. It happens. This is where we're looking, about getting unstuck. We looked at the whiteboard and we looked at one core question. What result am I not getting? Then we use CPR. The CPR is content, pattern, relationships. If you can't remember, head back to last week's Get Unstuck, Crucial Conversations Get Unstuck, and take yourself through it. It's only about 15 minutes long. But when you went through using CPR, you named what challenge? What challenge? Where it's living on, and that's the foundation. Now, this week we're going to go even deeper because knowing the problem is step one. Knowing yourself in the problem, that is a real game changer, absolute game changer. So welcome back, beautifuls. If you're here, it means you're ready to have real conversations, the kind that change the way people relate to you, the way you relate to yourself. And we're building upon the series on this book, Crucial Conversations. And everything I'm teaching you is not just theory. It's what I've trained in. I've trained in Crucial Conversations and Crucial Accountability. Don't have that book because my daughter is borrowing that at the moment. But I have gifted this book in particular to my executive teams, my clients, my leadership team, people who I see that need this. It could be an acquaintance that I've come across. So it's not just theory. I have trained in it, I've worked with it, and I've used it. Well, I have used it since, I'm just trying to think, over a decade now. 2014, I believe, was when I first, a little bit earlier. I became trained on it in 2015, but I became exposed to it a little bit earlier. So when I think about using, Crucial Conversations, I've used it in leadership and in life. And this week's session is very special to me. It's so important that I've actually tattooed it on my body. Check that out. See? I start with heart. This is how deep this goes for me, because every meaningful, game-changing, relationship-saving conversation starts with getting clear on your heart. So this week's focus, we're going to start with heart. So let me just shift the page over. So let's look at this together. We start with heart. And yes, there's my little red emoji. And it's like, when you're thinking about this, you start with heart. And this is your heart, who you are, how you're bringing this to the table. And underneath is 2 core questions. What do I really want? And what am I acting like I want? Now, these 2 questions are everything. Because in the heated moment, in pressured conversations, we don't always behave in a way that lines up with what we actually want, do we? You know, there are so many elements that we can turn around and say, you've heard the sayings, you know, cut your nose off to spite your face. You're drinking from your own poison chalice. There are so many different ways. You know, we want to, you know, we say that we want connection, but then we avoid. I've been there. I want that, but then I put my head in the sand, you know, like the ostrich with the head in the sand. You know, the ostrich does not put its head in the sand, but either way, I'm using that analogy. We say we want clarity, that we want to understand, but we avoid. You know, we say we want to connect, we want to collaborate, but we want to control. You know, we want things done a certain way. We don't understand why people behave in certain ways. We don't understand why they don't get us. And these are so fundamentally important. That's a gap when we say what we want, but we want to do something else. This gap between what we want and how we act is at the heart. It's at the root of most communication breakdowns. So here's your moment. Ask yourself right now, in the conversation that I'm avoiding, what do I truly want? Do I want to be right? Or do I want to be heard? Do I want to prove something? Do I want to prove something? Or do I want to move forward? Really important question. Really, really important question. And then ask yourself, how am I acting? Because often we are behaving from fear, ego, or hurt, and that creates even more of what we don't want. Just take a minute to reflect on attitudes, your own insights, all of those things. And you think you're heading in the right direction, and you actually end up with less. This is why I'm so passionate about this work. I have seen relationships completely shift when one person decides, oh, I've got my heart, to start with heart. Not blame, not ego, not sarcasm, but heart. Heart. You know, when I think back to the marriages that I've lost, just saying you know, this is one piece that was missing. Not saying that I wanted that, but understand what was driving my behavior and what I was really trying to protect or fix. I am so, so grateful that I can leverage this and lean into this with my beautiful Honeywot. He is worth saving time and time over again. He's my calm in my storm. So understanding how I behave, how I respond, how I interpret, what my stories are, this is why Crucial Conversations is so important. You know, that missing piece that I had for so many years, understanding what was driving my behavior, what was really at the root of it. Because when we start with heart, what we actually do, we move from just reacting to responsibility. We actually stay anchored. We stay curious. We stay calm enough to actually listen, not just load the next comeback. Now, let me be very clear. You should know who I am by now through all my videos, through all of the social engagement that we have. And if we know each other personally, you definitely know that this isn't about being soft, because I'm not soft. This is about being clear and powerful. It's about being soft on the person, so important, soft on the person and strong on the issue. Not the other way around. Soft on the person, strong on the issue. You know, years ago, I had a massive blow up with someone on my leadership team. It's not there. It was a pattern, right? They undermined me in front of others, and I can tell you now, I was frigging done with it. I came into that conversation guns blazing, ready to list every detail, prove her wrong, justify my position. But what I really wanted was respect. I wanted respect. I'd earned it. I'd earned it. I'd demonstrated. I wanted revenge. I didn't get what I wanted because I didn't start with heart. I didn't start with heart. I led from anger. Just anger rather than alignment. And even though my facts were solid, my energy wasn't. And that conversation, I can tell you, did not fix the problem at all. It actually made it worse. Now, when I feel the sting of that situation, I take a breath. Thank God for breathing, enabling us to just take a pause for that moment. So when I feel a sting of that type of situation, or a situation that is anything like that, that's going to take me down of who I'm going to behave, I take a breath and I ask, what do I really want here? And what will actually get me the results? Is that something that you do? Take a moment to think about a current conversation you've been avoiding or dreading. It could be work, it could be home life, it could be with your child, it could be with your teenager, it could be with an in-law, a colleague, a boss, it could be, with a sales client, it could be with anybody. Anybody. Something you've been avoiding or dreading. Ask yourself, what do I really want from this? How do I want to feel at the end? What would it look like to stay in alignment with that, even if it's hard? So your importance is to stay focused on this. Focus on you. You. This is about you, myself. What do I really want? How do I really want to feel at the end? What do I want for others? That's so important. What do you want the other person to feel at the end of this conversation? What do you want the person to respond or engage at the end of this conversation? What do I want for the relationship itself? And then ask yourself, how have I been acting? You want to be watching for, how have I been acting? Have I been blaming? Have I been avoiding? Have I been controlling? Is my ego so big in the room that I'm just thinking about myself and nothing else? Have I been retreating or reacting? What needs to shift in you before the conversation even starts? So your challenge this week is to pick one conversation that matters to you. It could be your partner, your boss, your child, your parent, your friend. Just pick one conversation that matters. And before you say a word, ask, what do I really want? What do I really want? What does success look like in this conversation? How do we both feel? So what does success look like in this conversation? And then, how can I show up? How can I show up? How can I show up in a way that reflects that? What I really want, what success looks like. You don't need to solve it all. You just don't. Just start by leading by your heart. Your heart. And letting that guide your presence, not just your words. So start with heart is not just a step. It is literally the very whole foundation. A whole foundation. It's the moment that you take responsibility for your energy. It's the moment that you choose, clarity, that clarity over manic chaos. And it's the moment that you stop giving away your power to emotion and really start leading from purpose. Now, I'm living proof that when you get this piece right, everything else gets easier. You stop reacting and you start responding. And from there, literally everything changes. So next week, we're actually going to move into the third element from Crucial Conversations. We're going into make it safe. And that's how to create safety in a conversation so people don't shut down, blow up, or simply ghost you, right? Because that's what happens. Now, until then, let's come back. Ask yourself, what do I really want? And how am I acting? Your results are waiting on your alignment. Let me know what came up for you in the comments or in your journal. I'll be right here doing this work alongside you. All right, sending you much love and light.